Welcome, everyone, to the Healthy School Food Summit, brought to you by the Coalition for Healthy School Food and PlantPure. I'm your host, Ron Gandiza, and in this session, we are honored to have with us Jim Owen. Jim has been in the wholesale petroleum business for 27 years in Vigo County, Indiana. His transformation, though, started long after his heart attack at 45 years old. Although he was on his way to a healthy lifestyle for many years, he could not close the gap on high cholesterol, and he didn't want to use the conventional wisdom of the day with medication. So after watching the film PlantPure Nation and attending a class, he switched to a plant-based diet, and now at age 60 has a healthy cholesterol level. And it so inspired him after watching the film and seeing this transformation that he has now gone on to create the High School Health Initiative. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. It's great to be here, and I think it's been a journey, as you say. So I think what the catalyst was for actually getting started with this was in Vigo County. We have 7 contiguous counties in the western part of Indiana that are at the bottom of the list, if you will, of coronary heart disease. Those things were kind of my motivation, and plus a dubious honor of per capita having the most fast food restaurants than anywhere else in the country. So those were the challenges that kind of motivated me to actually get in my car and go to Beverly Hills, Michigan, where I knew Nelson Campbell was talking, along with his father, Owen Campbell. And I just wanted to have a simple conversation with him to maybe invite him to the schools here at a school, primarily the one that I graduated from, and just have a conversation with our kids, start somewhere, because with the statistics I just gave you, I was compelled to say, where do we start? And that's, in my mind, with the younger generations, the next folks coming up. So if we can curb that path some way, I thought it would be an interesting thing to have Mr. Campbell come down and speak. He liked the idea and thought it was wonderful and would like to participate. So I was thrilled. And I came back to Terre Haute and immediately talked to Karen Cunningham from the Maple Center here and shared the idea with her. And that's where we came up with meeting with she said that the teachers here had actually given their students extra credit for attending the film, and subsequently found out that they were all from the Terre Haute South Vigo High School, precisely the school that I had wanted to do this program with Nelson Campbell. So it all sort of was a culmination, calling ourselves the High School Health Initiative. And introducing the 10-day Jumpstart program was what we were hoping to do for the students. But the committee on our small group came up with a better idea, and that was to implement this program with the faculty first and foremost. And we just completed our second Jumpstart program with them. And as you can imagine, it was very successful, and the same kind of data that the PlantPure Nation film has come up with is exactly what we came up with. And this was the catalyst for getting to know the program, understanding the costs, materials needed, and so on as we kind of walk through this. So that's the base. And so the mission was now to participate with the students in some form or fashion. And so now we have encapsulated extra faculty that understand what this is all about and can help us mentor this, if you will, once we try to move into the student portion of this idea that we have.
Now, how many teachers participated in this Jumpstart? And just for the audience here, just so you know, a Jumpstart is where people experience a whole food plant-based diet for 10 days. And we have a Jumpstart kit that PlantPure developed based on what we've shown in the film. The film documents people going through a Jumpstart program. So for teachers, did you have a small group, I'm assuming, to start with?
It's important to keep things small and one school, one idea, and not get overwhelmed with this. So to answer your question, we had originally 15 teachers in 2 different Jumpstart programs. Through personal things or time elements or things like that, we had 13 successfully completed. And again, we had some amazing stories, but that's essentially the number of faculty we have. So,
what were some of the results from these 13 teachers?
Well, one individual teacher, as I was walking up to the school to do sort of our post-graduate party, if you will, of the celebrations and going over the data, his triglyceride levels were very, very high, and they were actually thinking about pulling him into the wellness center and treating this situation. And unless, in the 10-day program, it completely went down to healthy levels instantly. He said that he has never had so much energy in his life. This is a very active faculty member, and lots of stresses in his life and things like that, and teaching and so on. And he says, now I come home and I am ready to do yard work. I'm out and enjoying my life. His wife is a registered nurse and actually did it on her own, on the side, if you will, and joined in on the process, which she was not a part of our program, but she came up with the same results, doing her own blood tests on herself. So it's sort of, a dovetail of interesting things that have happened just with one teacher. So we were really excited about that, changing one life at a time. I can't say enough about it. He's a great spokesperson for this whole process and was in the second Jumpstart. So we're ecstatic.
Now, what was some of the feedback from the teachers were in terms of the ability to do this? Because, we get some questions from teachers who say, well, I'd love to try this program because I know I could be a role model for my students. We know that child obesity is an increasing issue. I mean, not just an issue, it is an epidemic right now, but they are scared. They fear that they can't do this and that they'll actually potentially let down students if they fail at trying this whole food plant-based lifestyle. So what was some of the feedback or even some of the challenges from the teachers?
Well, I think that a very good question. Again, I'm repeating myself, but you keep it small. And I think Tammy Rochendale is the principal of Terre Haute South Vigo High School, and not only was instrumental in making this a possibility, but she also volunteered and wanted to participate in this process. So that was a real a great thing, and she's now on her path to better lifestyle and so on. And it really kind of helped the situation along. I don't think you should think that way. Given a proper implementation and so on. As I said, we had 15 set to do this process. The results of those that did complete it was very encouraging and very consistent with Nelson Campbell's PlantPure Nation film. I mean, the data is there and it's very similar. So
we'll have some of the results from the PlantPure film as well, the jump starts that were held in the PlantPure film. On our site for people to understand some of the results that they can experience or that we experience within the film, but that we've seen across the board that people see, for instance, a drop on average 15 to 25% of their bad cholesterol levels, which is really shocking because we're talking about 15 to 25% on average within 10 days. This isn't a 6-month program. If you can see that within 10 days, then can you imagine 30 days or 60 days or 90 days or longer?
I couldn't say it any better. And back to your point, and this teacher I mentioned with the high triglyceride levels, I mean, it's there. And as you say, in 10 days, we can't say enough about that. And how about a lifetime, with the lifestyle change on plant-based? It's exciting. It really is.
Walk me through the 10-day program that you helped the faculty to experience.
Well, we had a great deal of assistance from Karen Cunningham from the Maple Center, which they're already teaching classes in integrative health and education, of which I attended one of her courses. So she was very comfortable with all this process, and it really was a natural thing for her, and she's been a very integral part of this whole process. Plus, we have the food for PlantPure Nation that the faculty had purchased, because you have to have a closed system here of what they're able to eat. We brought in the PlantPure Nation cookbook, which we furnished through a small foundation. The Claire Fairbanks Foundation gave us the money for that. So we wanted to have a complete program. We had food demonstrations and things like that prior to all this culminating in the process of the 10-day Jumpstart program. Also, Ken Massey is a practitioner's assistant here at the Vigo County Health and Wellness Center. Was just a big proponent of doing the metrics, or I should say the blood tests for the faculty. So we had that set up. He sees the challenges that they're having with their health every day. So he was very supportive of what we were trying to do, gave extra time out of his day to make it very convenient for the teachers to get the blood test before and after and try to fit that into their schedules. So I hope I'm answering the question. There's the culmination of many things that have to be in place, the educational component part of that before they actually eat the food and start the 10 days. So blood tests, food implementation, demonstrations, and so on, and then the completion. And after that, we have another, the teachers were, the planning committee were so wonderful and bringing plant-based foods to these sessions so they can test them as they're going on. And then when we do our final celebration, if you will, the blood test that came back, and we had plant-based foods prepared there for them as well then. So that was the sort of the short version of the many hours that it took to make that possible, and it couldn't have been done without the planning committee.
Starts with biometrics. They get their tests. They go through the training and education. They understand the power of plant-based lifestyle, and so they really get the foundational understanding of why they're doing this. Then they try the meals. So they have the meals for lunch and dinner, right? 10 days of meals, and PlantPure has a line of meals, these whole food plant-based meals that are frozen. They heat them up, and they basically get support throughout those 10 days if they got questions or anything that comes up where they may want to talk to somebody.
Yes, we certainly, Karen Cunningham was available, and also PlantPure Nation has daily email access, if you will. I'm maybe not saying that completely correct, but to help you daily to have access to support and ideas to share and so on as you're going through that. So there is support available, and that to make it a success, initiate a success, if you will. So you're not alone. And of course, you have the fellowship of your other folks that are going through this with you as well. So it's a small group and very supportive of one another, and it was a very good process.
What got them to actually participate, even the 15 that you started with?
Well, as I said, the original teachers that invited the kids to do the extra credit at the film were the ones that we originally met with, Karen Cunningham and myself. And they did all, in other words, you have us on the outside, and you have to have people on the inside that understand the culture, the faculty, where they're going to be, the meetings they attend, and so on. And so this was announced in front of faculty meetings. And also we brought in food samples that they could take with them after the meeting, and tried to set up dates in which we could meet and facilitate getting involved in this process. So it was those kinds of things that again, understanding the culture from the inside could not have been done without our planning committee that helped us get started. So,
when do you plan to roll out a program for the students?
We are in that process as we speak. We've met with the school superintendent, Dr. Danny Tanous, and Tammy Rochendell, and we're been given the go-ahead to present a full formal presentation of that. So we're really, the story hasn't completed yet, but that's where we are at this point. We now have the data. We have the 13 faculty in the school that can be mentors, if you will. And so we have a good mix of people that can support what we're going to try to do. So those things are being placed systematically as we kind of move through this, our next steps.
Because your background is in petroleum, right? Right. So I'm curious as far as your, or how do you feel for doing this program? Because I'm betting you didn't expect that you'd be rolling out a wellness program within high school.
Well, as I said, 15 years of playing around with this, it really, again, came together for me with the PlantPure Nation film. And, those things aside, business work and so on, I wanted to try to help in some way and change the dynamic, if you will. You can, from my somewhat sad statistics of where I live in the Midwest, we had some challenges, and I thought that this might be an interesting place to start. Moved back to Terre Haute after many years of being away, and I, Terre Haute South Vigo High School is where my life started, if you will, and I thought it would be an interesting thing to try to make a difference for the kids, because I know what we're up against, what they're up against, and the healthcare that we have these days, and the challenges that we have are very clear in the PlantPure Nation film. So I'm just doing a small part of that, I guess. We haven't completed the circle here, but what we've completed is very positive, and I think is going to be interesting in days to come when we hopefully will get this jump start for the students. So.
Well, thank you very much for your inspiration, because believe it or not, in this session, although you're running this program is great and inspirational, the really inspirational part and motivational part for me is that you took the time to do this program. A lot of people say, hey, we've got a health problem, they'll identify it. But in terms of, and they'll even recognize it and say, yes, we've got an issue, we've got an epidemic with our kids, and of course into adulthood, facing problems. But then that's it. It stops there. And maybe they take it upon themselves. Maybe they get healthy and try to be a role model. But in terms of taking it further and helping others, outside of their circle and in a school, it's not an easy thing, right? We know that. You've seen the challenges. You had a planning committee to work with, but you got buy-in. They understood your story, where you came from. They took it upon themselves also to then try to help. But you were the spark to do that. So thank you for being that spark, because we need more people like you. Like you said, in your community, you have, did you say the most number of fast food restaurants per capita?
Yes, per capita, I believe, in the nation. We, had the dubious honor of when Steak and Shake opened their first facility here, and had one of their world record outcome And just to add to my petroleum business, they actually had a truck in the back, a huge refrigeration truck that I was putting fuel into to keep the hamburger frozen so they could keep up with demand. If that doesn't give you any indication of where we are, it's a little tongue in cheek here, but you get the message. We're one day at a time. And so,
well, thank you so much for your time in not just in this interview, but in just helping the community. And we hope to learn more and follow up, and you roll out the program with the students.
Well, we're very excited and very positive. So we'll see. We'll stay tuned, I guess.
We'll document those results. We'll share them with the rest of the audience here that's following along with the Healthy School Food Summit. And for those of you who want to learn more about how you can help your school, please visit healthyschoolfood.org. That's the Coalition for Healthy School Foods website, healthyschoolfood.org, where again, we'll take the results that Jim has and we'll share those with you as we document their process, their flow, and their results. And you can also visit PlantPureNation.com if you want to learn more about the PlantPure meals we talked about here that were used for the Jumpstart program, PlantPureNation.com, and also the film. So if you want to see the film, and even whether it's to purchase the DVD or look at the downloads, you can use them or follow them on PlantPureNation.com. But you can also download it from Netflix, not download it, but watch it for free on Netflix or iTunes or Amazon. Thanks a lot, Jim, for all of your help.
Likewise. Thank you.